concise fivefold.
Yes, Dr. Lai.
Yes.
In the specific instructions on posture, there's no mention of breath. What do you suggest about the breath?
Nothing to suggest. The 7 points of Vairocana does not include, it's physical. So breath, whatever you know about breath, whatever, you know, but the focus here is not on breath.
Thank you. Also, I have some confusion about the visualization. In the beginning, the instructions, self is Yidam, Avalokiteshvara is recommended with Amitabha on the crown.
Yes.
In some of my other efforts to practice, I have, and then there's a mention of Vajradhara, also later in the...
Not in this text.
Oh, okay. So any other Yidams we use should just be excluded from this practice. Is that
Yeah,
so?
because this is explicit, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this explicitly tells you, you know, which Yidam to use. Yeah, in the four samadhi, in the four empowerment, samadhi empowerment text, it doesn't tell you which Yidam. Then there, of course, you use whatever Yidam. Here is a very specific, that's why I said, you know, that this is more spelled out.
Thank you.
Question in the points of Vairocana, as it's here, your eyes are open. Is it?
It's almost always open.
During visualizations?
It's always open, some points of Vairocana.
And during the natural state practice as well?
Yes.
Dissolution. Okay.
In the Tibetan tradition, almost never close your eyes.
Oh.
Yeah. Almost never close your eyes. Very rare, they say, close your eyes. Many times I've talked about this, that when you close your eyes, you know, either a lot of thoughts will come or you will fall asleep.
So then maybe...
but again, these are, you know, things that you work with and see, you know.
Is there anything, so this idea of 3 feet in front of you, is there anything specific about like how you're gazing, how you're looking? Because you can gaze like very softly, like make it
softly
blur out.
Softly.
Okay.
Gaze, not stare. Yeah, lightly. You're not looking for, you know, like a specific spot or no. Just it's basically where the eyes can, without strain, rest. Ama, we can hear you very clearly. So the eyes just where it can most comfortably rest. So the rest is not just the mind resting, it's the sight resting. Normally the sight rests when you close your eyelids, but here we don't want to do that.
One last small is there anything about closing the mouth or the lips in the 7 points of, it's not one of the 7 points, right? But is there like a suggestion or no?
What do you mean?
So like you can have your mouth, your lips sealed or not sealed? I don't know that it's extremely important.
Go try it and see.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
How long you can sit comfortably with your lips open and your tongue on the roof. Yeah. I think if you do it, you know, yeah, no need to ask, you know. If they want you to do something specific, they will tell you, you know. Then the rest, your practice is going to, your application of what they tell you to do will further inform you what, you know, how it all comes together. Yeah, so these are the 7 points that is given here by Ratna. Marpa has a 5-point system, so not so spelled out. Then in other places, I've said, you know, then you distill that further in the earliest, like some of the recorded in the Pali Suttas, probably in the Sanskrit versions too. It's just 2 points, you know, stable and upright. Then you further distill the 2 to the 5 to the 7, the 7 to the 5 to the 2. You can, if you can imagine, you know, Gilbert Rinpoche's time, it will be like if Nathan's question, you know, about the mouth, you know, I would say, you go do it, then come back in 5 days, tell me. Then in 5 days, you know, I'm like, so how was it? And how long did you do? And this is assuming, you know, that for the last 5 days, yeah, you spend 8 hours. Minimally, yeah, 8 hours, right? Then when I say something at that after the 5 days, you know, and say, how is it? You know, then you will be able to say, actually, you know, yeah, I tried various versions of the lips, you know. And then I say, you know, so how, which one? You know, then you tell from your own experience. Oh, you know, now I know why they didn't say anything about the lips. Could be one answer. Because if I follow that other instruction about the tongue, then the rest of the face falls in place. But then now I'm just saying to you, then you're just, you know, forced to impose that. But if you have some confidence in what I'm saying, good. But not as good as you actually doing it. Then you know. Yeah. There is more that we can elaborate, you know, this text. But again, saying too much at this point, it will only feed, right, that habit of teachers dishing out information that they have read, students, you know, downloading all that information and thinking, now I know what it is all about. Like people watching like all this cooking programs, you know, on Netflix. Yeah. And then, you know, don't know how to turn on the stove.
About exactly that, the thing that you said, in page 8, it says Mahamudra beyond concepts. I don't know if I understand well. Is Mahamudra is exactly go beyond the concepts, not thinking, practice.
Yeah, no concepts.
No concepts. No. Practice.
Yeah, yeah. Many meaning there, but that is good. Don't start the process of mentation. Yeah. Tục rèo, cha trên này lúc là sụp, là sụp chít. Yeah. Okay, so a little bit of Gongchik here. Statement 4, chapter 3. All the impediments to the arising are impediments to obtaining the fruit. So a rather mysterious statement that I think, without the commentaries, we would not. This pertains to some of the details about how we receive the vows, specifically discussed in the Vinaya Pratimoksha. In the Vinaya Pratimoksha, there's quite a bit of focus on what are the conditions necessary to receive the vows. What are the conditions necessary when we have broken the vows? How to restore broken or damaged vows, and so on and so forth. So some of the technical terms we're going to encounter in this chapter are drawn from the Vinaya Pratimoksha's focused on being attentive to, right? How vows are properly received, how vows are damaged, what does the giver of the vows, what qualities the giver of the vows need to have, what qualities the recipient of the vows need to have, what are the preparations that are necessary, and so on and so forth, is spelled out in rather detailed form in the Vinaya Pratimoksha, especially as it pertains to the ordination and the receiving of vows and the giving of vows for monks and nuns. Yeah, so that's part of the background to the vocabulary that we will encounter in this chapter. So here, the impediments to the arising. Impediments to the arising is a technical term, and impediments to obtaining the fruit is another technical term. Yeah, this relates to like, so there's all these discussions like, you can still receive them, but the result of receiving them may not show because you have some obstacles. Yeah? So you may still receive the vows, but the benefit of keeping those vows will not be so apparent. So there's some, again, discussions like that in the Vinaya Pratimoksha. So anyway, here, the statement is made in response to people claim that the vows do not arise for those who possess impeding qualities. In other words, people will say, like if you are someone who your situation has some obstacles, which is what impeding qualities mean, a little, in English, it sounds a little weird, because these are technical terms. Yeah, impeding qualities. When we think about qualities, we think of good qualities, right? But actually, quality can also be, a bad quality. So here it's saying that if you have, right, things that will impede you, come in the way of you, and you and what you desire, then these vows do not arise. So in response to that, Kyopa says, all the impediments to the arising are impediments to obtaining the fruit. So what does this mean? Now Chodra will explain. There are 4 impediments, namely the impediment to the arising of the vow. So meaning like, you could go to a vow giving ceremony, right? But if you have that impediment, then even if, you know, the vow giver keeps repeating this ritual, and you stay there for, you know, a whole month, you know, and every day the vow giver tries to give, if you have impediment to the arising of the vow will not, you know, arise in your mind. Yeah. The impediment to the existence of the arisen vow. So here, even more detail. Maybe it would arise for a moment in you. But if there's an impediment that keeps it from remaining, then it will go away. Second impediment. Third, the impediment to obtaining the particular qualities of the vow, even more, you know, detailed, even closer look at that. And moreover, the impediment to the beautification of the vow for the sake of others. And so there's a fourth quality. Of these, the first is the impediment to the arising of the vow. So of these four impediments, we are primarily here concerned with the first impediment. It is not defined as the non-arising of the vow, but rather as the non-arising of the result from having taken that vow. So here, Chodra explains. The impediment to the arising of the vow, what it means is the non-arising of the result from having taken that vow. So he says here, what we are really talking about is not that you cannot get the vow, but that there is a certain problem in you right now, so that even after you have received the vow, right, the result cannot occur. So he gives examples. Once someone who has regretted his acts of immediate retribution, so in the listing of like heinous karma, very, very negative karma, Buddha says there are 5 that are called immediate retribution. Killing your father, killing your mother, causing a Buddha to bleed. Yeah, I suppose that doesn't apply if you're a surgeon, you know, trying to heal a Buddha. This means like maliciously, right? Causing a Buddha to bleed, murdering an arhat, and causing the splitting up of a harmonious sangha. These are called the 5 immediate retribution. And according to the Vinaya Pratimoksha, it says when these 5 are there, so let's continue here, okay? So it says, so once someone who has regretted his acts of immediate retribution took ordination and became learned in the 3 baskets. So there was a scenario of someone who killed his father and mother, okay? Now, then he regretted it, like great regret. So then he took ordination and he became very learned. However, the teacher Buddha Shakyamuni proclaimed that this person who had committed the acts of immediate retribution is subject to the non-arising of positive results of having taken the vows and expelled him. Buddha actually, according to the Vinaya Pratimoksha, there was a situation like this. And Buddha Shakyamuni told the person, you have to leave. Yeah. Thus, this person went to the seashore and established a temple And since he taught the Dharma to the disciples who came to him, they attained arhatship. After he died, although he was born in a hell realm, he developed the notion of being in the monk's sauna. Yeah, so even though he was born in the hell realm, he thought of it as, oh, I'm in the monk's sauna now. Then, having been hit with a hammer by the guardian of that hell, he died and was born as a god in the realm of the four great kings, where he again perceived the truth in front of the teacher. In brief, he did not obtain the fruit of arhatship with the body that had committed the actions of the immediate retribution. So the point of this commentary is, because he had committed these what's known as five immediate retribution, right? He could not remain as part of the community. The Buddha actually told him, you leave, expelled him, right? But he never gave up. Yeah? So he went to a seashore, established a temple, right? Yeah? And then he taught disciples, and in fact, his disciples achieved arhatship. But himself, as a result of killing his father and mother, was born in the hell realm. But the imprint of having been a monk was so powerful, right, that even when he was boiling, in the hell realm, he thought of it as, oh, I'm in the monk's sauna. Yeah. And then when, one of the guardians of hell hit him with a hammer, he actually died. Because it is said that in the hell realm, it's not so easy to die. In fact, many want to die and be spared of the suffering. But they don't die so easily. But in this case, he actually died very easily. They whack him with a hammer and he died. Right? And immediately he was born. And where he again perceived the truth in front of the teacher. He was able to continue the path. In brief, he did not attain the fruit of arhatship with that body in that lifetime that he killed his father and mother. But he benefited from whatever virtue that he cultivated after having murdered his father and mother. The beings of the northern continent too do not bring forth the results of their vows in this life, but obtain them after they die. And so somewhere in the Vinaya Pratimoksha, it is said that these beings who are born in the northern continent, they cannot see the results of their ordination. Yeah, but they have to. But in the next lifetime, they will experience it. Then there is a famous, story of a naga, a serpent spirit that took on a human form and got ordained. So here, the naga who took ordination out of fear of hot sand changed his appearance back into that of a naga when he fell asleep. Then when Buddha Shakyamuni saw that, realized that, said to him, "You will not obtain any qualities based on this body. Therefore, go away without harming the monks." And so he was a serpent spirit who had the power to, kind of change into a human body, took ordination, joined the monks, but when he was asleep, meaning the power of his mind to change, right, was diminished when he was asleep, he turned back into a big snake. So when the other monks saw, they were terrified. So then the Buddha went and said to him, "Okay, now, you need to leave." So the Naga went to the seashore and promised to serve the jewels as long as the teachings abide, to serve the three jewels. So another example of how, by Vinaya Pratimoksha standards, it is said that Nagas cannot receive the vows. Kilpa Rinpoche's point here is that no, anybody who asks for the vows, we can still give it to them. They can still take it. But because of having those impediments in their life right now, they are not going to see the results of keeping the vows in that lifetime. But nothing is wasted, is the point of this statement. So if this is the case, you may confer the vows on those who possess such bodies as the support, but they do not obtain results such as arhatship until the body transforms through death. Therefore, this impediment to the arising of the vow turns out to be only an impediment to the arising of the results of the vow. Meaning the real meaning of impediment to the arising of the vows is arising of the results of the vows in that lifetime. The precious Lord said, in the scriptures of the Sugata, the one gone to bliss, it is said of the desire realm that supports for the pratimoksha other than men and women of the three continents are lions, elephants, deer, gods, yakshas, and so forth. Isn't this incompatible with the explanation in the Ajata Sutra, where the person who killed his mother took ordination and obtained arhatship? So Chodra raised another case, which is recorded in the sutras. What about, someone who killed his mother, took ordination and obtained arhatship? There's a story like that. Chodra's reply, it is not incompatible. In that sutra, he is clearly taught to be an emanation. So here it's almost like an afterthought. Chodra says, wait, you might think of one story where someone who killed his mother took ordination and obtained arhatship. So here Chodra's explanation is, in that story, when they told that story, they also made it very clear, nothing like that actually happened. It was just a display. That's the meaning of, it is just an emanation. Like some Buddha, some Bodhisattva, I think Sobish will provide that story maybe. Yeah, so he actually explains, he said, actually there, it is an example of a very advanced being putting on some display to make a point. So it doesn't apply. Yeah, it's like a show put on, so it doesn't apply. Yeah. If you look at the notes, 3-4. The Rinjangma explains at some length how after someone had committed a heinous crime, he nevertheless lived the life of an ordained master. After he finally died, his disciple, who possessed the divine eye, could find him neither among arhats and non-one's returners, nor in the realms of gods, asuras, and animals and pretas. Finally, he discovered his former master in a hot hell. But instead of perceiving it as a hot hell, the master perceived it as the Sangha sauna. Angering thereby a guardian of that hell, the guardian killed him, whereupon he was reborn in the heaven of the 33. There, 3 thoughts arose in this master. From where am I born? Where am I born? From where am I born, meaning from where did I come from? Now where am I? Through which cause am I born here? Based on the arising of these three notions, he developed a strong faith in the Buddha. Thus he made offerings, and because the Tathagata instructed him in the Dharma, with the Vajra of Gnosis, he overcame the highest peak of the mountain of false belief in the self and obtained the everlasting fruit. This is the benefit of preventing the arisen pratimoksha vows from deteriorating. The supreme and common siddhis of mantra too do not divert from such a meaning. Therefore, even committing the most heinous crimes, such as killing one's parents, is not an impediment for the arising of the vows. It is also untrue that the benefits of maintaining the vows will not arise. The intention is that one will not obtain the fruits of training in virtue while in this same body. The intention here, I think maybe better translation is the meaning. The meaning here is that it's not that someone who has committed the heinous crimes, no matter how much they want to receive the vows, they cannot receive the vows. He says that's not the meaning. And the meaning also is not that, therefore, whatever they practice, the virtue, because they have that problem, those virtues will not bear fruit. Also not that meaning. The meaning is, in that lifetime, when they have committed killing their father or mother, causing a Buddha to bleed, killing an arhat, or splitting the monastic sangha, in that lifetime, they will not be able to obtain like arhatship or these advanced attainments. But whatever virtue they practice will bear fruit. So, yeah, so that is pretty Sobish points out the verse from the Precious Lord. In the scriptures of the Sugata, it is said, he said he doesn't know what to do with that. Yeah, on 228, he says that verse of the Precious Lord, maybe Pamudrupa, that begins with the words in the scriptures, has several problems. It is grammatically difficult, does not occur in any of the other commentaries, or anywhere in Jigten Sungren's works, as far as he can tell. And it does not seem to fit right in the discussion of Nagas, beings of the northern continent and persons who committed a heinous crime. So he said, we will have to just leave it as it is. He doesn't know what to do with that quote. But if I'm reading this right, it is saying, that quote, it says, in the scriptures of the Buddha, it is said, regarding the desire realm, supports for the pratimoksha, other than men and women of the three continents, except for the northern continent. Supports mean the basis. What is the basis of receiving the pratimoksha vows? Other than men or women, even lions, elephants, deer, gods, yakshas, and so forth can receive the vows. So I'm not sure, what Sobish is referring to, but to me, this quote, is making that same point, that there are places in the recorded teachings of the Buddha where we see how, lions, elephants, deer, gods, yakshas, receiving the vows. so that not just, the human body is able to receive vows. So I've said in other places, right, that one of the problems with the animal realm is that they cannot make moral choices, right? We said that. That's why it said that they have the afflictive emotion of ignorance and that of stupidity. That it doesn't mean that they're stupid, by ordinaries, by our common standards. In fact, many animals are, I think more intelligent than humans in different respects, right? But one major problem for being born in the animal realm, non-human animals, is that they cannot make moral choices. Yeah? But here this quote is actually saying there are, in fact, instances where animals took vows, according to some of the Jataka tales, that the animals can talk and communicate, and they took vows. So to me, this quote is saying, like anybody, even if like a tiger, right, biologically cannot say survive without killing, right? I mean, the tiger doesn't have an option to say, I'm going to hire a butler to, I'm going to hire someone to deliver food to me so that I don't have to kill anyone. A tiger cannot, like, okay, I'm going to be vegetarian biologically. But if the lion says, I want to take the vow of not killing, it is still going to be beneficial. Yeah, it is still going to be beneficial because that imprint is in the tiger's mind, that it is virtuous not to kill. Even if biologically in that body, right, he cannot keep that vow. A tiger cannot keep that vow biologically. But if the tiger is capable of producing that intention, that motivation to not kill, not harm, then it will benefit the tiger. And the results will come in the later lifetime. Yeah? Good? Questions, comments?
Dr. Lai?
Yes. Feedback. You have to turn off.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
It makes me think, at least move over. Sorry. It makes me think that an imprint of the mind can be stronger than habituation of the body.
Say more.
I was just under the impression that habituation, what we do, our actions, can be more powerful than a seed of the mind.
Than a what?
Than a seed in the mind, but maybe not so.
I mean, I don't think it's comparing which is more powerful. It is saying that they both matter.
Yes.
Yeah. So even if physically you're limited now, for whatever reason, right? You can make aspirations. So that is the other point. Yeah. So why we make all these aspiration prayers, may I do this, may I do this, may I do this, right?
Yes.
That is helpful, the habit of like like smoking, not so easy to give up, but if you make the aspirations, and you keep making the aspirations, that will help,
Okay.
So yeah, so the body has become determined to some degree, right? Almost like a tiger not being able to be a vegetarian. But if the tiger can give rise to, I want to take this vow, then according to this tradition, it says it's beneficial, it's helpful. Yeah. So Cecile is already making the aspirations to be in Drigungtil. So she has found a picture of Drigungtil monastery. See right here. Let's spotlight her video. Ta-da! And that's Drigungtil, the courtyard. Yeah. Yes. So we make aspirations, That's Drigungtil. Yeah. Other questions or comments?
Just a small comment. I think
Mhm.
this point I had taken it. This point that vows are useful and helpful and beneficial, even if you can't, even if you break them.
Yes.
I think previously I had thought that there's like the reason why, or it only works if you could like
Yes.
actually keep that
Yes.
vow.
Yes.
But
And-
here, I think that this point distinguishes that, vows are aspirations.
Yes.
It's like any good aspiration is going to be beneficial. So,
Yes. Yeah. And even if, right, it makes us a little anxious or guilty, oh, I've taken this vow, but I'm still doing this, Actually, from Philpa's perspective, it's like, that's a good one.
right.
Yeah. Some guilt is good, At least you're still aware, like, yeah, this is not skillful. If you don't take the vow, then you think, oh, this is no problem. I never took the vow, People will say things like that. And then on that theme, I know you all might think, why am I always talking about this? Because I think this is a serious problem, on the theme of like misbehaving teachers, I mean, people will say things like, well, he never took the vows of celibacy. Yeah, it doesn't mean that therefore you can behave like, worse than just an ordinary person. Just because he never took the vow of celibacy doesn't mean that, you can behave in irresponsible way, exploiting your students, and no, it's ridiculous, right? And you should take those vows then, if you cannot, if you're particularly, disposed to, causing harm this way or that way, take that vow so that it will always remind you, that is unskillful, that is unskillful. And you will make the aspirations of, next week, I will do better. Next month, I will do better. Next year, I will do better. Just that, Sincere, it's not saying you try to cheat the system and say, oh, I will take it so that I can be, it will do better. No, but sincerely, if it arises in your mind, I want to be free from this unskillful way of acting. That's a very good to have those seeds planted.
And then according to that point that you've shared before, like our disease with samsara, the nature,
Yes.
in that way, perhaps the vows help to surface some more of the Buddha nature.
Yes, it brings more obvious, yes, Buddha nature.
But also good conduct is never wasted, whether you've taken the vow or not.
No, here it's saying, of course, it's never wasted, but I don't think that is a point that, you know, Kyopa will say, take the vow. Because good conduct, and so elsewhere I talked about this, and maybe this is not what you mean, but in case other people hear it this way, I need to clarify. Between acting well with body, speech, and mind without awareness, and acting well with body, speech, and mind with awareness, the latter is more important, with awareness. And the taking of the vows, or having taken of the vows, is part of the awareness aspect. If we say, oh, that person, he's just naturally generous, you know. But if that quality of generosity is not recognized by that person, you know, then it's not actually generosity. Like someone who is very wealthy, right, might be so wealthy that they don't really think about it. Just give that away. Give that away. Give that away. Give that. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Then we say he's not developing generosity.
No, yo creo que las respuestas de ayer son positivas, o sea.
Yeah. So elsewhere it says that no, it needs to be recognized as such.
You haven't, I haven't heard you emphasize this point in the past, but I know that Dzongchik Khyentse Rinpoche talks about it quite a bit. That this idea that, yeah, as soon as you, like especially these vows of refrain, like I'll not kill. As you take the vow, then you're constantly generating merit when you're not killing. And so it seems like in he really emphasizes that.
Yeah, it's taught, you know, in the context of the giving of the vows, that when you have generated, and of course here is also the important point, when it has already really arisen, not simply you have taken the ritual, just like empowerments, you know, not just like, oh, I went to that ritual, yeah. But if it has already arisen in you, this point, so this is a relevant point to emphasize this. If you have already, if it really arisen in you, you know, I take the vow of not killing, I take the vow of not stealing, then all the moments that you're not stealing, yeah, it's continuing to generate merit. As opposed to, I'm just not killing and I'm not just stealing, but no vow behind that. There, you're not creating negative karma, but you're not creating positive karma either, if you have not taken the vow. Do you see the difference? Yeah, this is not to be legalistic, right? This is not legalese arguing points at the court of law. There is a particular kind of principle involved here, because karma is intention. That's one of the basic premise of karma. Karma is tied to intention. Like right now, you know, I'm not slaughtering a chicken. Then right now, it just means that I don't have the negative karma of slaughtering a chicken. But if I've taken the vow of not slaughtering chicken, then right now, not only do I not have the negative karma of slaughtering chickens, but I have the positive karma of not slaughtering chickens, as I am teaching right now. Because it's based on an intention that was put into place. So the quality is different. And here it's using the language of merit, but the underlying is still, right, what I was talking about. The underlying is still, it's about awareness. There being awareness that this is virtuous, and there being awareness that this is not virtuous. So if you want to be even more technical, I would say then the real merit that is arising from awareness. The vow having arisen is the vow active. That's the real meaning too, you know, of the vow having arisen, meaning the vow is in place. The commitment is in place. And how can it be in place? Is that the awareness is somehow there. And so what all this again, the broader point that is being pointed out to is the Buddha envisions a path of practice that is active, not passive. We make choices, choices have consequences. And even when we're not making choices, we're already making choices. And they have consequences. And so given that, we better make skillful choices. Actively make skillful choices. Don't just leave it as, you know, oh yeah, whatever happens. So we make these active choices.
So I just had the thought that, like you were saying, somebody wealthy could make a big donation for tax write-off or for fame.
Yeah.
Not really generosity.
Right. And it's not out of generosity.
Right.
Or perhaps not even thinking, even if this person is not thinking of write-off and not thinking of fame actively, right? But because it's so easy, here, sure, 50,000, take it, right? It's not cultivating generosity. Whereas you, your last mouthful, right, of your, I don't know, you know, apple turnover, right? Or your croissant that you're going to eat, right? And then you see, right, some pigeons land, right? And you know, oh yeah, I don't need this. You give, right? That generosity surpasses the rich guy. Here, 50,000, take it. Yeah, do whatever you want with it. Yeah, that's why in one of Kyoba's teachings it says, you know, like when you know how to do this, then the acts of merit is not dependent on how fancy what you give or don't give. Now, maybe on the receiving end, you know, not maybe, definitely on the receiving end, you're like, actually, give me the 550,000. I don't care whether you think it or not, you know. rather than your last mouthful of croissant, you know. Yeah. But in terms of training the mind, you know, then, you know, that last mouthful of that croissant generates more positive effect than mindlessly writing 50,000 and giving.
So when there's dedication of merit, merit can be of different quality, I guess.
Yes.
So it would be more effective, that dedication, if you have merit created with awareness.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And then, of course, also the importance of dedicating. If we don't dedicate, then we might accumulate and then we will squander and lose this sonam, this fuel.
Okay.
Yeah. So dedicating is also important. So Gilbert Rinpoche teaches, he said, you know, Buddha taught, he said, that one way of understanding why so many of us are still not Buddhists is because we don't know how to dedicate. Right? It says, not because we have not gathered enough merit, but we don't know how to dedicate. So in other words, if you tally up, if you have a karmic accountant, accounting all the merit that you have ever created in the infinite past, by right, you should already be Buddha now. Why are you not? Why are we not? Because we have squandered, we have wasted all this sonam. So then, properly dedicating sonam is another important point.
Okay.
Yeah. Somebody said the other day, asking me a question about sonam merit, you know. And they're like, I don't understand what it means, you know. It's like, no, you do. You're just stubborn. You don't want to understand. Then I said something like, you know, merit can be used for the purpose of achieving some mundane result, and merit can be used to achieve the result of Buddhahood. So then this person responded and said, oh, I don't think my practice of merit is for mundane results. You know, I mean, it's not said out of arrogance, but it's said out of not understanding what mundane results mean. You know, then I responded. I said, I, on the other hand, am not sure if the merit that I have created has been really dedicated to not mundane results. You know, the Dharma's definition of not mundane is not so superficial. Dharma's definition of not mundane, or Dharma's definition of mundane, could even be world peace, you know? Could even be world peace. Might, I'm not saying definitely, might even fall under mundane results. My definition of by the power of this, may a certain person, not get re-elected or get elected, whatever, because it will be so good for everyone. That could also be mundane. Because the Dharma's reference point, is not in this more kind of ordinary way of thinking about what is good and what is bad.
Do you think dedicating merit to like someone who's suffering, person have reprieve, like may they not suffer?
Yes.
Do you think that's mundane? I think in my mind, I've thought of that as mundane, but perhaps there's a way to relate to that in which it's not.
It doesn't become mundane when you have in your mind, and the way they are going to be free from suffering is when they become Buddhists.
Right.
Mundane is not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, worse, by the power of this merit, may that person, get sick. That's mundane bad. Then there's mundane good. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying because it's mundane, therefore automatically that's bad. No, even in mundane, there's mundane good. So I'm not saying you cannot pray and say, oh, may this person be well. But it has to be, with the underlying. The ultimate wellness is the state of Buddha. And that is ultimately what I wish for everyone. If along the way I can give someone a donut, sure, I'll do that. If along the way, this prayer can help someone recover from cancer, sure, I'll do that. Sure, may it happen like that. But more than this person's cancer, more than this person's, suffering of not having donut, is their complete freedom from these two. And whenever, everything in between, to be free from that. And put it in like very this sounds like so big, okay? So let's distill it down to what degree can we help ourselves and others to be free, even in the midst of whatever it is that they are experiencing? To whatever degree we can help them to be free from suffering. And this kind of freedom from suffering is not the absence of, right? Conditions that you don't like. Conditions that you label to be not good. But a freedom that transcends conditions. A freedom that is not dependent on conditions turning out the way you want them to turn out. That is what we're talking about when we say Buddha. Yeah. Then less than the state of Buddha, yeah, of course. If the other sufferings can be alleviated, yeah, we do that. But never lose sight of what you can give to someone else, or what you can give to yourself. It's not just a painkiller of whatever type for the immediate conditions that we find ourselves in, but to facilitate this person's being okay despite whatever conditions. That is the what I would now call the non-mundane freedom. So the mundane freedom is the one that is dependent on conditions, yeah, turning out the way we like them to be. The non-mundane freedom is the freedom that is not dependent on conditions lining up the way we want them to be. Yeah?
Right. Yeah, thank you.
So then you don't need to, you know, oh, I cannot dedicate this way, I gotta dedicate that way. That's Nathan's kind of questions, in case you have not noticed, and put him on the spot. I don't know if he actually feels that way, but that's his kind of questions. Mathematicians are, you know, quite clear about numbers. You know, 1 is not 2 and 2 is not 6. 6 can be 3 2s. But numbers are quite clear, you know. 1 is not 6 and 6 is not 2. Chanju semcho rinpoche ma ge ba nam ge gyuche ge ba nyam ba me pa yang gong ne gong du hell war shou. Okay, see you all on Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.